Hey, this is Grant with Grant's Rock Warehouse, and today we've got special guests with us. We have the Empty Pockets. Not only do they have a new album that just came out in August, correct?
Woo, yes. Correct.
Yes. But they're out on tour with Al Stewart. So stay tuned. We've got more after this. Hey, I want to welcome the Empty Pockets. I've got Josh, Nate, Adam, and Erica here. I'm so glad you could join me today. How is everybody?
We're good, man. It's been gloomy here in Chicago the last couple of days, but the sun came out and it's glorious today.
Yeah. Well, it's glorious here in beautiful Columbus, Ohio.
We were just
give you that.
Yeah.
I know.
For 5 days.
Well, no, but I didn't see you in Columbus. So here's the story.
Okay.
My buddy said to me, Ryan, who has another channel, he said, hey, I'm going to go see Al Stewart in Kent. He lives in Kent, Ohio. He said, do you want to go? And I said, well, all right, Ryan, I'll go. So I went, got the ticket, and guess who opened up that show?
I bet it was us.
I think it was us.
Was it Deep Purple?
It could, well, there's some purple here, but
it's
different thing. So we were sitting in there watching, and we were just totally flipping blown away by you guys.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
In fact, I talked to you, Josh, just a little bit when I got the CD. I said, what are you playing through? He said, a Blues Junior. I keep it simple. Because I said to you, I said, Josh, is that a Blues Junior up there? You said, yes. I was surprised.
It's half the weight of my Fender Deluxe, which is in the studio now. It's a studio drum, but we have especially Nate and Adam and I, we have a strict gear philosophy, which is you have to be at least worth double your gear.
Well, not only that, but you may have seen us loading our own gear in and out of that show.
I did not see that.
Well, it's every night, and Adam doesn't play with the rack tom. Nate doesn't play with the bass amp, and we carry Erica's stuff, so she doesn't care. That's my wife.
Well said.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was impressed. You said you don't play through a bass amp?
Yeah, that's right.
You just go direct?
Yeah, it's all in the hands of our very capable and competent sound engineer and producer, Mr. Daniel McCormick.
He's going into a fancy DI.
It's very fancy dancy.
It sounded, I have to say, of course, the Kent stage really is a great room for one.
Isn't it?
I saw Carl Palmer there.
Oh, great.
I don't know, like a year ago or something. Then Chasm Sultan from Utopia did a tour. And everything that I've ever seen at the Kent stage has always sounded really good. But you guys sounded really good. The mix was great. The volume levels were great. I mean, the thing is, I haven't seen that many bands. And I didn't know anything about you guys prior to this. In fact, I hate to say this. This is the only thing I have, but I've been playing this like crazy.
Right.
But we're going to talk about that. But your musicianship and Erica's chops, for crying out loud. Holy mackerel.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we don't use any same with our gear philosophy. Like, there's no trickery.
Mm-hmm.
We don't use any tuning, or we're not heavy on effects. Like, Erica just gets up there and sings.
We like to think, and you could maybe attest to this or not, but that CD kind of sounds like we sound live. Like we just went in and played it.
God, what a great segue. I was going to mention that in my notes. I've made some notes on some songs. We can hit some of them.
Great.
Like I said, we're just going to try to have a general discussion, just kind of wing it. There's no real set agenda. Okay.
Right.
But I do have to ask you about this record. It sounds okay. It sounds very live to me. I don't know if it's live. It sounds very live. I almost can hear it like the sound of the room. Mm-hmm. But then again, it's very intimate and upfront. I can't describe it, but it's the sound of it's very refreshing. It's kind of like Matthew Sweet Girlfriend production, but then it's kind of like.
What a great record,
I love
too, by the way.
So that's my favorite Matthew Sweet album. Sure. I got Matthew Sweet stories, too. I don't know. It's a weird, I don't want to say the album sounds weird, but It's very upfront. Like, let me look at my notes. Like, if we look at the track, oh boy, where is it? Heart of Ash.
Sure.
I wrote on here, holy mackerel, how was this recorded? It sounds like it's live. Was that track live? Did you guys record live?
So we're in the room. This is the room we built to record. We have like a pretty
You recorded in there? Holy
Yeah,
mackerel.
Yep.
Right
we have
here.
a pretty
Okay.
specific recording philosophy, and we've been getting a little more and more
Committed to it.
committed and
Yeah.
intense to it. The
Yeah.
whole album is live. The vocals
Okay.
are overdubbed. Most of the guitar ended up being live. There's some guitar overdubs, but you know, maybe we would go in and catch a bass note, right, or catch
Yeah.
a guitar note or a
Fix a
piano
little
note. But
but-
the entire album is tracked live. I think the most unique part of the tracking is we rarely played a take more than once a day.
Okay.
So instead of doing 10 takes of the song Outside Spectrum, we more like played the album Outside Spectrum. And then maybe at the end of the week or at the end of the day, we listen to them. And a lot of times Daniel uses the phrase, you know, Adam, are you green lighting these drums?
Right.
Because that's the first step is like, did we get the drum track in the take? So there's no click tracks.
Mhm.
There's no, I'm not anti-click track, but this album was made with a pretty specific and intense philosophy.
We listened to Layla a lot in the pandemic.
Yeah, not the song, the album.
And then in addition,
Well, I could tell that.
oh, well,
Yeah,
that's cool.
it's like the sound of the
I'm
album.
going to
is-
bring that up. Not Layla, but something else that kind of, I'm just going to run stuff by and I'm going to, you just keep
love it.
going. I'm so
Oh, I
excited.
love him.
Keep
And
going.
it's, the sound of the album is based on that part of the 70s in a lot of ways.
I think
Oh
we
my
changed
God.
a few
What
things
did you
out.
read my notes?
We started delving into that part of the 70s in a really deep way. And then in addition to it, in the pandemic, we did hundreds of live streams and we were mostly in separate rooms.
Mhm.
So we really learned to listen to one another as players.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was
then-
almost like a swimmer who like doesn't shave their legs until like the end of the season, you know, like we did nothing visual. And then when we got back together, we started recording the album.
And so like we had the benefit of having listened to each other so intensely and developed that skill. And then to be in the same room and feel that magic and that energy, we just wanted to capture it.
Well, I think you did. And I think it's very successful.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
Thank
you.
you.
You know, that I
'Cause-
fall in love with that album, Layla and Other Assorted Love Stories. And then I just have been falling in love with Clapton's first solo album, Clapton, but they all have this recording quality to it that is like almost the opposite of what a lot of hit music is right now, where it's like super focused and compressed and in your face, which is cool too. That could be awesome. But we were very much going for the opposite of that.
Well,
And
thank God. No, seriously. You know everything's brick walled.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Right.
This has a lot of air,
It does.
which is refreshing.
And that's what we meant to do. Plus, that's Daniel Jux, we call him.
Yeah.
He did a nice job. He
He's-
really.
Man, that guy's
knows
got a
us
set of
well.
ears.
But I also think like our philosophy is keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. Yep.
Well, plus you want something you can reproduce live.
Indeed.
I mean, what I hear here is what I heard.
Hopefully
Cat.
that's true. And actually, hopefully it's even slightly more evolved on stage than it is on the record, but like the core of it should be there. Because I think we continue to do that even with the songs that we've recorded is we'll even it just forms out on its own and continues to evolve in
I don't-
different ways.
Yeah, I don't want to say that when you guys are on stage, it's looser. It's more, what do I want to say? I know this is live, but it's still,
Might be loose.
you're on stage for crying out loud. You've got the audience.
Yeah,
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah,
And people responded to you guys.
oh,
Holy
sure.
crap, you got a standing ovation.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, it
amazing.
was
And that was a
lovely.
great show to come to. A sold out or nearly sold out Cat Stage. We sold a ton of CDs. That helped us get to our chart position. Actually, was
Absolutely.
that show.
That was a great show.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's not like, maybe it's more fluid on stage, you know? You can, there's more interplay to some degree. I don't know. I thought it was absolutely, like I said, I was totally blown away sitting out there. So this is why we're here today.
Love that you
Thank
were there.
you.
Thank
Such
you.
a great
It
show.
was
for you.
awesome. Outside Spectrum, strong hook, tight. I want to say just top-notch guitar work.
Thanks, man. I love that stuff.
And I think I said that when I talked to you that night because I just was blown away by your How old were you when you started playing?
You know, Nate and I actually started similar because I started, was your first the trumpet? I think I started on the sort of piano and trumpet.
Yeah. I had baritone ukulele when I was a kid and piano, but I hated
Who doesn't do baritone ukulele?
Yeah, my yeah, right.
I didn't want to play the guitar for a while, probably because of an early thing of what Adam says all the time, which is just like everybody plays the freaking guitar, you know, like we don't need another.
It's kind of, I'm usually joking when I say that, but yes, I do say that often, that the world does not need more acoustic guitar playing singer-songwriters.
My cousin Mike had this like magical basement that it was garbage. Like it was just like brick, cinder block, cement, but we played music in there. I like to say we did coke and played music, but I mean we drank Coca-Cola.
Drank Coca-Cola.
Nate's a couple years older than me, so it probably started when I was 9 or 10 years old.
Yeah.
Nate was
13 maybe.
And we just played all night until we just couldn't anymore.
An insane amount, thinking back to it as to what the ages of Mike's parents were at the time. I'm starting to get to that point now, and if someone was playing music till 4 o'clock in the morning, the way that we played music, I'd be like, "This is insane. We're shutting it down."
There was no internet to look stuff up on.
That's true.
When we were doing this, so we would just play a song for like a half an hour until we felt like it sounded like something right.
Oh yeah, that's right. Now, okay.
Well, that's how you do it at that age.
Definitely.
Right. And that's what I did. That's all we did. When I was that age, I started playing when I was 13. But I mean, my buddies and I, that's all we did. Hang out on the street and play all the time.
You were literally that Creedence Clearwater song. That's down on the corner, but in real life.
We did that. We did that.
I'm sure we did as well. But and the reason I bring it up is because Nate and I would start playing instruments that other people weren't playing. You know, so like guitar eventually got there because that's kind of what fit with the people I was playing with, and Nate sort of settled on the bass, and we formed a band eventually.
Yeah.
But you were doing a lot of keyboards too. You and Eric are just freaking all over it.
Yeah. Al's music, especially like Al Stewart's productions. I mean, Alan Parsons produced 3 of his big records. Like, we're not doing everything that's on an Al record. You'd need like an orchestra.
You got to try.
But we're trying.
But we're trying to, you know, and the little Italian fella jumping all around stage. He's adding his bit too with the flute.
Mark Massimo.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah, with the sax and his flute. We try to. Well, maybe we're not doing record versions of Al Stewart songs, but we're trying to serve the beautiful productions.
I have never seen Al Stewart before. I was totally, not only is the guy hilarious and it's got great stories, totally entertaining, but like I said, you guys as his backing band, holy mackerel. And you know what? Al still sounds great.
He sure does.
He sort of
close your eyes. You thought it was 1976. I swear to God.
He never sang like that. You know how Don McLean sang like all like lyrical? Al always sort of sang a little. And so here in his mid 70s, Al and I just opened for Don McLean, and Al sounds exactly the same. And you know, Don, it's hard to keep the not everyone's Paul McCartney. It's hard to keep that lyrical voice up. And because Al never did it that way, sometimes we're doing an Al tune and we're rocking it, and I'm like, this is the definitive version of this song.
Well, whatever Al is doing at his age, he should keep doing it, because Paul McCartney, Paul hadn't been Paul for a long time. I'm just going to say that.
Oh yeah, Al doesn't have any. Have any.
And I'm a big Beatles fan. The Beatles are number one in my book. Okay. Okay. So I'm not love Paul, but.
No, and Al, it was just Al's birthday. I think he turned 77, and
he was amazing.
Inspiration, man. Like I'm 37, so he and I are like almost exactly. I just turned 37. He and I are almost exactly 40 years apart, and I'm like, dude, if I could be on the road in 40 years doing this like you're doing it, that's a win. Damn it,
big time.
He's super smart, and I like to say that he's fermented on the inside. He drinks so much wine. He's gonna live forever.
And I think he's getting to 60 years, getting close to 60 years of professional musician. Yeah, wow, that's amazing,
definitely.
Incredible.
Yeah, I've got like a CD set that's got. I found it used somewhere. It might have been on EMI, but it's got like his first 4 solo albums on it. Those are all like 60s albums, you know, late 60s.
Yeah. Jimmy Page plays guitar on like a 16-minute Al song called Love Chronicles, and it's pretty awesome. Al said Jimmy listened to it once and then played.
I believe it.
Sure.
Jimmy might come off kind of sloppy when he's live, but man, you cannot
he's awesome.
Argue with anything that he's done in the studio.
No, he's cool.
Brilliant player. Still brilliant as far as I'm concerned. He's just got that certain tonality and style.
Mhm.
We're going off on a tangent, but I was talking outside spectrum. See, this is what happens on this show. We just it's very fluid.
Right.
But the thing I wanted to mention on the track Outside Spectrum, it had a strong hook. And you know what? I don't know what you were channeling. And I'm not saying that Erica sounds like Janis Joplin. You have your own style. But I swear to God, you guys were channeling Big Brother and the Holding Company on that track.
Yeah, interesting.
I love
can hear
those
that.
recordings. There's like 10 Big Brother Janis recordings that
And I don't know I don't know, but when I heard it, and I'm not saying you guys were trying to copy anything, but I just felt that energy and that the way you guys interplayed with each other. And Erica, your vocals, it just seemed very Big Brother-ish. You know how Big Brother, how the male and the female kind of interacted vocally. I don't know. Maybe I'm totally off, but I thought, holy mackerel. And the sequencing on this record, I hate it if I'm coming off like a big fanboy here, but the sequencing, sequencing on this record is perfect.
Thank you.
We thought hard about it.
I can tell because, Outside Spectrum, what a better opening track. Okay. You end with Maybe Next Time, great closer. And everything flows. You guys can kind of go through different styles and change it up a bit, but it all comes together and it all fits together. I don't know how you guys do it.
Well, we've got a lot of.
I mean, I don't want to sound, like a giddy schoolgirl or something, but
I am digging it.
This is a great. You guys should be proud of this. This is a great record.
Thank you.
Dude,
we are proud of it.
Yeah, we lucked out on a little piece of it, a little detail of it, where we went on a cruise ship earlier this year, the 70s Rock and Romance cruise.
Yeah. Hey, Rock and Romance.
And Al couldn't go on it. And so we went alone and played a couple of sets. And Lawrence Juber,
there you go. We were going to get to that too. Go ahead.
He agreed to come play a couple tunes on one of our sets. He was playing the music from Jet because Lawrence Juber was in Wings.
Jet, right?
And Ari, when Lawrence started playing,
there's a photo of me that I saw yesterday of when he's next to me, doing some jam, and my face is like, holy shit.
No, and don't get me wrong, I do not feel bad about myself at all. I really like listening to my guitar playing on records, and I play pretty good guitar live. I do some other things that Lawrence doesn't do, I sing and I write songs a lot.
Make great bread.
But Lawrence, I will never play like him, no matter how hard I try. There's an amount of cleanness, and I don't even know how to describe it. I'll never be at his level. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Sacramento almost borders on jazz fusion to some degree.
Yeah, and he's bringing it there a little bit too.
Definitely.
But it doesn't start out like that. But when Lawrence jumps in, it's like you guys just kind of, how do I want to put it? It goes into overdrive to some degree, and it's like the jazz fusion type of thing kicks in. And it's like, holy mackerel. Not that you don't play good. I'm not. But when Lawrence comes on,
it's a different level.
It's totally different.
Well, yeah, but he's a session guy. I mean, he's done so many records, and he's just it just probably just pours out of him. You know what I mean?
He did
as a guitar player, he's probably fluid. It's like it's nothing.
We think it took about 5 minutes for him to put that on.
We think he gave that one take and sent it back to us, and we couldn't be happier.
Yeah. Let me just vibe on this thing, and we're great. That's
we like to do our version of the degrees of Kevin Bacon, and we do with the Beatles. Our manager managed Joe Walsh, so us, Joe Walsh, Ringo. But our Lawrence Juber relationship brings it 1 degree.
To Paul.
From Paul.
Us, so Lawrence, Paul. I mean, Lawrence sent us over our congratulations when it came out.
So sweet.
It's sort of it's cool to be whatever level friends we are with him.
Yeah.
I heard him on a Beatles podcast not too long ago.
Yeah,
I can't remember on which one, but he's talking about Back to the Egg, and possibly what's going to be on the deluxe box set if it comes out, which I hope it comes out. Who knows? Who knows what Paul's got going on, but I'm sure it'll come out. But the guys seem really genuine and very appreciative and just love to talk to, these podcasters. It was freaking incredible.
It was super cool. He sat up with us in the buffet and chatted with us about music and stuff for far longer than I would have probably. He was great.
Yeah,
and he was
just seemed like
ready
a
to
dude.
go.
He just seemed like one of those players who wasn't like taxing him to jump on our set and play 3 songs. He like wanted to play more.
Like, yeah,
he was like, yeah, I'll play. That's what I do.
Come on. Let's jam.
Cool.
You know, I always felt bad to some degree that Wings, you know, after Paul had his drug bust in Japan, it was over. And
it was in Japan. He was there during that drug bust.
The thing is, I would have liked to have seen what Lawrence and Paul could have produced even beyond that.
Yeah,
because I really like Back to the Egg. Some people don't like that album so much. I like the whole record, but I would have. It's just a shame because I would have loved to see where it would have went.
Me too.
Sure.
You know, Denny Lane still. Let's keep going. I don't know. It just is what it is. Maybe Paul felt that they'd done it. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. What do I know? I have no idea.
Let's call him.
But Mr. Sacramento, I want to say, is either I'm hearing a lot of Derek and the Dominoes or I'm hearing a lot of Allman Brothers. I'm not sure which. It could go either way. I was going to say, if there was a vocal part on there, I could almost hear Greg Allman singing it.
Yeah, sure. We have a little connection with the Allman Brothers, too. We've gotten to open for Dickie Betts a few times.
Well, there you go. It's rubbed off.
He's great. And we definitely, like I said, were thinking of Derek and the Dominoes during this process.
I can tell. And Privatize the Profits.
We're the TheEmptyPockets, man.
I like it. But I love the Fender Rhodes. Is that a real Fender Rhodes on there?
No, it's a Korg SV1 that I just
sounds like a Fender Rhodes.
We own a Fender Rhodes. My dad toured with one in 1976. Just a little bit.
Let me tell you, it is a beast to move and then keep operable.
It's so heavy.
There were so many times where we'd be right before a gig. Josh would have the cover open with like a soldering iron out and like a pair of clippers.
Really?
He's got to cut down the tuning peg. He just had to solder.
I'm a huge Erica even more. We're huge fans of both the Rhodes and the Wurlitzer sound. It's just such.
How about a Mellotron?
We don't have one. We don't usually do that, but that's a cool sound.
I could hear some. I almost could just the way you guys channel that 1970s feel in a lot of this stuff. I don't know. Maybe that next record you could.
They're fun to play with when you get to play with a Mellotron.
Sure.
I've played with one before.
Would love to do like a Hammond B one day.
But you could get a sampled one or something.
Oh yeah, we do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't tell that was not a Fender Rhodes. I'm not. I love the sound of it. I mean, everything's. Think about it. You guys are playing. Everybody's in the mix. You can't pick anything out all that well. You can, but is it a real Fender Rhodes? Hell, I don't know. But it sounds great.
Erica spent a lot of time tracking down the best sampled Fender Rhodes sound. She spent a lot of time researching it, and she was like, "The Korg SV1 is the one that we want."
And Erica,
there you go. It works.
The powerhouse singer in the band. And played some keyboards live, and like maybe I would do keyboards and she would do some keyboards on the recording. But this album was like a big step forward for Erica. You recorded all the keyboards.
All keyboards all the time, baby.
And you sounded great.
I don't think I did anything.
No.
I mean, you did most of the stuff when you guys were playing for Hour. You played most of them, except for a couple of times when Josh comes in and does like some kind of flourish or anything.
Yeah, exactly. When I'm playing like strings.
Should we go with the strings?
Yeah, you're playing one part, she's playing another one, but it works well.
But yeah,
and
it's been really
of course, the rhythm section's doing what the rhythm section does best.
Oh yeah.
So what's the
which is what again? I
don't know, but you guys are top notch. I'll give you that.
Ordering pizza, I think.
Yeah, we're sitting here in the rhythm section. Literally sitting in it.
Yeah, you're in it. I like it. So A Bird Does Sing. What's Eric? I was going to say you sound wonderful on that. It's almost gospel.
I love singing that.
It is
song.
almost gospel. It's an ancient Chinese proverb I found. A bird does not sing because it has an answer. It sings because it has a song. And that really resonated with me because like we talk about art sometimes, like what it means and what it's for. And I have an argument like going with a lot of people in my life, which is like art isn't supposed to have a use. It's not useful. Like you can use it. And to me, like that's what the proverb is about in an interesting way. Like a bird doesn't sing because it has an answer. It just sings because it has a song, because it wants to sing.
And we have so much song.
So beautiful.
And
inside of us.
that song's really about like, don't like be like, why are so every once in a while somebody in my life will be like, why are you guys like still doing this? And it's like, you know what? Come to a show, And then ask me that question again if you want to ask me that question again. That's what that song's about.
I do because it's magic and it's deeply inside of me.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, that goes to that question: why are you guys still doing it? You've been doing it what? How many years of the first thing was what? 2008, 2006.
Yeah, Nate and I have been in this band together for 15 years.
It's scary, isn't it?
That's crazy.
Well, the thing is, you're able to support yourselves, though, right?
Yes, I mean we are the Empty Pockets. Like it's not.
Well, yeah, but you can still pay the bills. I guess
we all live in this room that we record.
You never leave the room.
Just
it's like the Jefferson Airplane House, and
Sure.
Nate sleeps over there, and I sleep over there.
It's gotten a lot easier. Adam joined our band 4 years ago. And we call him our Ringo now. He's like our good luck charm. We really have.
He's really the snack dad.
We've really grown a lot as a business over the last 4 years, especially the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I must say, I looked at your website, and by the way, I'll list all that stuff.
Cool, thank you.
Below.
Check out.
But if there's anything you want to send me that you want me to link, send it to me. Exactly. Look below.
Check that out. Click on those. Hit subscribe.
It's right, exactly. But your website, I don't know who's doing the website, but your website looks beautiful. Thank you. You're doing the website too?
You do everything.
It was so funny.
You did the album cover. I noticed that.
Yeah, I do all the design work and artistic stuff like that. We are just an independent organization. Like when someone says that we're an indie band, and it occurred to somebody else to mention that we're not just an indie band on an indie record label. We're just doing all the things.
Yeah, like
ourselves.
Nate.
Yeah, but you don't come off that way. When you look at your website, it's like, here we are. It's not any rinky dink. I mean, it's a beautiful website and it flows real well. And
I'd like to think we're learning from doing it for so many years and just keep growing and getting better.
That helps.
We all have duties and sort of constant responsibilities. Like this is just a small business, like Erica does all our social media and design, and I run our finances, and I sort of lead our vendors. Nate runs our facility here, always making repairs and make sure our vehicles are running well. Adam's always in here shipping. He organized the back room the other day. There's always stuff to do.
Always
stuff constant, and not all
growing
it's
list.
Music.
I actually have it just occurred to me that our water cooler is out in our parking lot right now in a state of disassembly because I took it apart and I was replacing the spigot, and we were like, "Oh no, interview time! Okay, everybody get into your places real quick."
You're like a damn mechanic.
Yeah, Nate's our mechanic.
Our handyman.
Yeah, we run a fulfillment center essentially out of this building.
Just that way, and there's a whole stack of CDs. There probably is like 8.
You probably bought that CD at the show.
Yeah.
Anyone who received a CD in the mail, that was in our hands. Like we literally packed and shipped every single CD that we sent out.
And Alonzo over at the USPS, thanks for giving us the scan, Alonzo. I appreciate it. You did them all by hand.
No, we really do ship so much that we have like relationships at the back of post offices. Like sometimes you have to fill a truck with stuff that gets shipped.
And we learned that don't bring it in a random cardboard box.
No, you got to bring it in a USPS box.
We had to learn the hard way
all the
by
lessons.
having things break.
Well, they give you boxes though, right?
Yeah, you got to just bring them back.
Sure do.
Eventually we figured that.
But I'm happy as a clam in we want to grow obviously, but we're lucky, man. This tour with Al Stewart that's been going on for like 6 years. It's a pleasure. And we get to open, as you said, and release our record. And it was really fun on that tour. We found out we were the #1 blues record on the last night, right? We were in Warren, Ohio, and no one was more excited than Al Stewart.
I like to tell everybody he jumped around the backstage and giggled for 27 minutes.
Because he has a really interesting perspective. Like he got famous in like 1975, 76, then had a massive hit in 78, massive hit in 79, little hits in 80, 81. The industry, the success level was so different. You sold 1 million records. Right. You became a millionaire. Right. Al says he's become a millionaire and lost it twice in his life and is hoping not to lose it this time around. But Al has been pretty disillusioned with the music industry, especially the sales side, because it's changed so much. So it was so fun to watch him be like, yeah,
you did it.
You guys got on the top of a sales chart. Like something is okay.
That is quite an achievement.
Thanks, man.
Especially in today's day and age, you know.
Dude, the chart is like Empty Pockets 1, Bonnie Raitt 2, Tedeschi Trucks 3, Mavis Staples 4, Eric Clapton 5. It was like very satisfying to look at it and be like, nice.
Oh, it's all my
And
heroes.
I just want to say we're objectively better than all of those artists.
Well,
it is a list.
At least that week.
I don't know. You sounded pretty damn good when I saw you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But, you know, when you live it, play it all the time, you get pretty good. That's what I hear.
We're having fun.
Yeah.
And you're having fun. And you're still having fun after all this time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And everybody gets along.
Most of the time.
I mean,
I'll
yeah,
be damned.
For the most
I
part.
really like these
the
guys.
best that we can.
It's a big part of it because like the show's like 2 hours. The rest of the day is like 22 more hours.
Yeah.
Well, but right now,
I like the van. I like riding around in the van with
The
these
van.
guys.
who wouldn't?
We're band people.
We've also
Perfect.
started staying in like Airbnbs or larger accommodations where we can all stay together again, which is how we did it at the very beginning of the band. We used to stay in one hotel room.
That was a lot.
Two, double beds. The drummer and I in one bed, and Ari and Josh in another bed.
That was a lot. That was
a lot.
intimate.
For
But
years.
it is nice to be back in that like kind of like we get time to hang out all the time.
Yeah, for instance,
you know?
when we were at Kent Stage,
Mhm.
we drove to Columbus that night.
Mhm.
And we stayed in Columbus for 5
We
nights.
should have given
Yeah,
you
I'm a hell of a lot more closer to Columbus. I should have made my buddy Ryan come to Columbus for crying
Yeah,
out loud
right?
instead of me driving clear up to Kent.
Yeah, we
What
did
was I
that same
thinking?
drive.
But the Kent stage is such a great
So
place.
it's great.
What a
Oh,
great
I know.
place.
I didn't care. I was just
Some other place. Yeah.
I didn't care. You know, I should have went to both shows. Actually, I didn't realize you were playing Columbus until later,
Next time.
Next time.
next
Maybe
time.
next time.
But I do have to ask you guys, how on earth did you get a gig with Al Stewart? How did that come about?
Whoa.
Here you went.
Ari?
Well, Josh loves the band. He likes to
The
talk,
band.
the band. He likes to talk
Yeah.
about the last waltz being really inspiring. And we sort of like fell into this position where our manager, who has managed a bunch of legend artists, and we've gotten the opportunity to back up various 70s rockers like Simon Kirke from Bad
Mhm.
Company, Richie Furay from Buffalo Springfield, Kenny Loggins. And that all led to a tour with Mr. Gary Wright.
The Dreamweaver.
The Dreamweaver, Spooky Tooth.
Spooky Tooth. What a great band Spooky
Man.
Tooth
They're a
is.
very
Good
cool
stuff.
band.
I've got an original island European pressing of the second
That's
still
cool, man.
Spooky Tooth album. You know, the pink label. Everybody wants those. I've got one of those. I bought it at Goodwill for like $1 like 20
That's
years
awesome.
ago.
Score.
Going off another tangent, but speaking of Spooky Tooth,
Well, Spooky
Here we
Tooth
are.
is legit, and we enjoyed playing that stuff. But
Sure
in planning the tour, they added Al to the center of the bill, so it was going to be
Mhm.
us, Al Stewart, Gary Wright, and since we were backing Gary already, they asked us if we'd be willing, and we said sure.
And through that process, we learned this weird thing about the music industry, or at least the rock music industry, where it's like they don't give you anything.
Like
They just say like, here are the songs.
As far as
no
material.
anything. No
sometimes they don't even
charts,
tell you
no
the songs, and you got to
recordings.
guess.
or
Right.
the keys or anything.
Nothing.
And so like we did one rehearsal with each of them the days leading up to that first show, which was in Oakland.
holy
at,
crap.
and it was fucking nerve-wracking because
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
they're really different people, Gary and Al.
Mhm.
Gary's like very specific and
Detail
detailed, and
oriented.
Al's like, I don't know how it should sound.
That
Play
sounded
it,
nice.
play it good or don't. And
Yeah.
Al's
Well, that's a
rehearsal-
hell of a lot easier to deal with, probably, but
well, and that's
In
not what
some
happened.
ways.
in some ways, yeah.
But in the short term, it definitely is. And that's what happened is that Al was so much easier to deal with that his set was just better than Gary's.
And we also hit it off as people. We're like all cerebral and like literature and history and
Yeah, I think in Al's touring experience, even some really good touring partners of his weren't good at going out to dinner, like a fancy dinner, or like talking about history or politics or wine, which is what Al wants to do. Like he and I just opened for Air Supply, and Al talked my ear off about this book, but I just got it and started reading it. It's actually like really good.
Nice.
It's about a young Russian sniper. It's very up his
Oh,
alley.
Very
But it's
interesting.
like we're willing to like go the extra mile and engage him. Like our first song we do is called Sirens of Titan, and it's like an obscure Kurt Vonnegut book, and like Erica read it,
and so
and
does Nate.
they could
Yeah.
talk to him about it, and it just works with Al. He's now in print. He's starting to say it. He says this band, this young band's on stage. We're not that young anymore, but we're a lot younger than Al. And then for some reason, their grandfather wanders on stage and joins them. And that's a little bit how I picture it in the best way.
We love it.
And he's so funny on stage. Like,
oh yeah, he was great.
We've always liked the patter on stage, but like we've learned he's a master of dealing with an audience, and it's amazing to watch.
One of the stage hands, one of the crew members at Kent said after the show, they're like, we had a comedian in here recently, and Al got more laughs tonight.
It's unbelievable.
And not that the other guy wasn't funny. That other guy was funny.
Al, some nights, like in Cincinnati too, like just this past tour, he just crushed it. Like he could have played 0 songs, and the audience would have been like, "That was fine. That was a good concert."
Well, it's no wonder that it was sold out because the audience just absolutely loved him.
They loved him.
I mean, that's what my buddy Ryan says. We got to go see him. He's incredible. I said, all right, I'll go.
To have any taste of that like true 70s rock stardom, which we get just a little taste of, is like, wow, it's so cool. And I'm kind of obsessed with all that. Like I love the movie That Thing You Do. I love the movie Almost Famous. That time period is so unbelievable. And Al was there. Like he talked to John Lennon. He was friends with Yoko Ono.
He's got great stories.
Yeah. Lots of entertainment. Learned a lot, hear a lot. Holy crap. The life that guy's had.
It's crazy. The life he has had is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He like just walked by Bowie at Abbey Road.
He saw Jimi Hendrix's first 3 shows. It's just crazy.
He's buddies with Jeff Downes and Peter Beckett.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeff Downes, Asia Jeff Downes.
Yeah, we did a tune with him once. We did his
Video
original
Killed the
hit.
Radio Star with
There's
him.
a good look it up on
God.
YouTube. It's great. It's
Okay.
It's awesome, Jeff.
Video. Oh, look at you guys.
Yeah.
But did you say you opened up for Air Supply?
Al and I did. Yeah,
I can't imagine that.
It wasn't
Air
a great,
Supply.
wasn't a great fit. Al did his stories and looked at the audience and was like, "Well, you're all here for
Air Supply."
Al basically makes fun of Air Supply type music, and he did, and they thought he was hilarious. Like they were so shocked at these stories. He did the Joe the Georgian bit, and they were shocked. There's only been 3 songs written about Stalin, and I wrote all 3.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
He's good.
Classic.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's fun when you let in on it a little bit. Like he's got this bit that there's a song called Antarctica, and he says, "Now you think it's about Antarctica, but you're wrong. It's about a very cold woman who wouldn't sleep with me." And sometimes when it's just Al and I opening, he says, "Well, how should we do the set? Should I do the joke?" And we should do like he's choosing to put Antarctica in the set, like so he could do the joke or not.
Yeah.
Well, I can't blame him. It's a great joke.
It's a great
joke.
joke.
And it hits
I
every
mean,
It's never failed.
Yeah, it's great.
but are you guys like on a break now? Because when do you start up the next leg of the tour?
We don't get much break the way we our sort of businesses.
Oh yeah, you're shipping stuff. You're always busy. There's no time.
That's right.
We want to get a Christmas album out. We're pretty much done with it, but we got a few things to do there. We're always pushing Al to do different songs, so we have to rehearse those. We have like corporate stuff that we do.
We have a couple dates in the next couple weeks.
And we go back on the road with Al
in October.
a couple more dates in September, and then we go back on the road again with Al for like a month in the UK. So we're trying to figure that out.
We don't really understand breaks yet.
Yeah, who's going to ship all that stuff while you're over in the UK?
It's complicated.
Great
So
question.
I was going to say you're going to have to figure that out.
Yeah,
But you guys have done it before. You've had a one on tour in the UK before.
Yeah, we figure it out. But it's a whole thing. It's a whole business.
I get it.
My whole life.
It runs on us.
Yeah.
Well, at least you're having fun. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely.
Has anyone ever said that? Well, I don't know if I should. Tense car tab confirmation. Confrontation. I don't have my glasses on.
No, you're all good.
That's another Al inspired tune for sure. Al talks a lot about songwriters writing the same thing over and over again, and you should write songs that no one has ever written before. He'll mention like Hold On is the title of a top 10 hit 10 different times. There's 10 different songs. And
I was going to say that the instrumentation on that is really killer. On that song, can I tell you what I think I hear on that?
Please.
I don't directly hear it, but for some reason on this song, I know. I just makes me. I always like to try to hear influences or anything that I can possibly pull out of it. Not that you sound like this, but it almost sounds like you're channeling the Mamas and the Papas on that song.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
interesting.
Is that cool?
I would love to. I would have
That's
loved to hear the Mamas and the
cool.
Papas do that song.
Now I want to hear that too.
But
know,
the
we don't-
vocals on it, the way you guys carry the vocals, it's
Cool.
very Mama and Papa-ish to me.
Erica's got
I'm
like some
into it.
classical training, and like so
So that's good then.
she's
Yeah.
been gritting it up, as you noticed, and compared her to Janis Joplin, but like her instincts more, or like so your training is more like classical. And I feel like that because of the way that song is structured, like it calls for more singing.
Yeah.
We don't have car tabs in Chicago. We have bar tabs. They only have car tabs up in they use that phrase in the
Pacific
Northwest.
Northwest. Yeah.
In Portland and Seattle and Washington State and Oregon State.
I did a little research. It's a thing. It's like the license plate sticker. It's like you have to like re-up your car
interesting.
stuff every year.
I didn't know what it was. I just saw a headline on the news that said tense car tab confrontation. And I was like, well, that's an interesting sentence.
And the reason why there was a confrontation is because they were skyrocketing in price,
Right. There you go.
which makes sense.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't
good
know.
information for everyone.
That is. In case you wanted to know that, I'll tell you, we cover everything on this channel.
I
It's
didn't know
really
that.
comprehensive.
But that guitar tone, I don't want to talk about guitars. I know we're not talking about guitars, but
I love that guitar tone, man. You know, I don't use stuff.
well,
I-
it's almost like that Eric Clapton woman tone to some degree.
yeah, because Eric Clapton and I both
Ooh.
play without too many effects, and we both play a lot on a Fender Stratocaster through just a little bit of overdrive. And so it's
Mhm.
like, I don't like pedals. I don't like stuff.
Well, that was the other thing that I was telling you that night. I said it's kind of refreshing to hear you play because you're not really using a whole lot and you're just letting the natural overdrive of the amp take it.
Yeah.
So your sound's just, it's clean, but
Yeah.
then it's refreshing.
Yeah, I really like a clean Strat or a clean Telly is a little bit different, but I still like it a lot.
I mean, it's a Fender Strat plugged into a Blues Junior. Let's not overthink this.
Exactly.
Josh knows
Well,
what he's
I know
doing.
that's actually the beauty of it.
That's
Yes,
exactly the
exactly.
beauty of it. Yes.
It's like the opposite of the Edge from U2. You know what I mean? It's like the opposite
Well,
of that.
But you have to like that guitar sound. He's got something. That
Oh, they know
edge.
what they're
He'll
doing. They know
go
what they're-
somewhere with that sound.
They know what they're doing. It's just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
opposite of what we do. Like it's
Right,
just
right.
we're just plugging into stuff. You know, Adam's putting some drums down. Like you bang them. How much you want to think about that? You know, like,
Well, he did a good job at it.
no, it's the
Thank
skill.
you.
It comes
And
from-
the DI bass, I swear to God, you had an amp sitting on the stage.
No, and in fact, we have stopped using I stopped using an amp because Al gets a little nervy about having too much bass
there's
on
too
stage.
much bass. I'm
Yeah.
hearing so much
Just-
bass.
He looked straight at me. He was like,
You
"This
are a
bass
bass
is
player,
very
for
loud."
God's sake.
Like I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do about that, Al.
Yeah, we usually blame Nate.
Yeah,
There's
so-
too much
blame
bass.
Nate. Look at him.
So-
Nate, fix it.
For a little while, we had gone straight to using a DI when I just have the bass amp turned off and on stage. And so many people would come up and be like, "Hey man, I love that Ampeg tone or whatever." And
But
I
it's
felt-
not Ampeg tone.
right. I felt really bad lying to them. So I was eventually like,
All those gearheads coming up to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude,
Oh,
that-
I love that Ampeg.
"Bro, you know
like
those Gens
crushed
Benzes
their
are serious."
dreams.
At first, we thought it was hilarious, and then
Yeah.
it was like too enthusiastic.
mean.
When
Too
people would be
much,
like,
and then
"Man,
it's
that
like,
8x10 behind you, I love that tone." And then
Aw.
you're not mean enough to own them. Instead, you just end up being like, "Thank you so much, sir."
Yeah, you know, I like it too, and that's why I was playing with it. No, so I was like, we got to eliminate this. This is making me really awkward and uncomfortable. So, and on top of it, now we don't have to carry anything. It makes the trailer pack lighter. Like
Holy crap, yeah.
last stop where we unloaded like the 4 or 5 gigs we just did, every tech at the end of the loadout was like, that's it? That's all your stuff? What? And we were like, yeah, don't worry about it.
That
Just-
philosophy is pervasive across our organization.
yes.
It's like, why bring more to the party than you need to
need.
make a great party?
Yeah,
Like,
you don't need that much more. Sure, we need some stuff, but we don't.
So what do you
need
do? Just
more.
run the keyboard straight through the board too, just like
We're
that?
all on.
So you just listen to everything out of the monitors.
We're in
in-ears,
in-ears.
like we're wearing right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
for
it's like-
God's sakes,
Well,
God,
that
you young kids, for crying out loud.
when we first got in-ears, man, Nate and I were saying to each other, and Erica were like, it's like we're listening to the live album version of our show
best.
in real time.
Yes.
You know that moment in Baseballs?
When is that now?
It's now.
So what I know this is I hate being geeky, but I like this stuff. So these inner ear headphones, that changed your whole world as far as
my ears haven't rung after a gig since like 2015.
Yeah.
Like I get my hearing checked every year now, and I lose no hearing, even though we do 100 shows a year. And especially with somebody sensitive on stage like Al, who's pretty sensitive, like my mix isn't affecting him at all. Yeah. And when they want to turn down my guitar amp or something, or turn it a different, I don't care.
Yeah,
it's all exactly.
Do you think that helps you guys as players and play together that way?
Oh my God, being able to hear each other is critical.
You can't get basically, like, compared to in-ears, you can't get a good mix on a monitor. It's not even in the same, for me, unless you're outside and you have a ton of power and you have a great sound system and it's like, you know, a festival type situation. At a club, you can't get a good mix in a monitor.
Yeah, and you're fighting. If you're using monitors, you're adding sound into the environment. So you're fighting front of house. Like, just physically, it's happening no matter if you mean to or not.
Well, maybe that's what helps with that whole mix and the way it sounds out front.
We eliminated so much of the extemporaneous noise that our sound guy is able to actually like do his job effectively without having to fight.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think what's happened is like some bands of the 70s and 80s especially like got big enough to be consistently playing these big enough halls where all that equipment wasn't detracting. You know, like if you're playing in front of 5,000-10,000 people all the time, like you could do monitors, there's plenty of space and room, but when you come back down to the 2000s where all those same bands are playing in front of 500 people, 600 people or whatever, you can't stuff 10 monitors into a club without sacrificing quality. You just can't do it. They don't belong on stage.
So the only real thing you've got up on the stage are drums and your little guitar amp.
Correct.
So you must not be loud at all. So when Al's up there playing,
so
except you're loud, probably.
Well, I'm pretty loud. Yeah, we played. Peter Beckett from Player, "Baby Come Back."
Baby Come Back.
Yes, "Baby Come Back," big hit, 1976.
Video that's playing that song with him.
Yacht Rock.
Yeah, exactly. So he and Al are friends. He came to an Al show and we wanted to play that with him. As part of the encore, he comes out. So we learned "Baby Come Back." He just steps into our set. He had a guitar and an amp and
he had a monitor for him.
And we play that song, and like we learned it and played it with him once before we played it, and we were so proud. We crushed it. Go watch that video.
It's flawless.
It's pretty good.
Okay.
And so we crushed "Baby Come Back." We get off stage, and we're like, that was pretty good. Like, thanks for playing with us. That was a lot of fun. And he was like, I couldn't hear anything. Like, you guys aren't loud at all.
It's the lowest stage volume.
It's the lowest stage volume, and was not mad or something, but was a little annoyed.
He was off-put.
The implication was, do you guys not rock? What is this?
But like Al loves that because Al's monitor is really loud. It's a lot of acoustic guitar and a lot of Al's voice, and so like I don't think he would like playing with a rock band that was loud on stage.
No, he would not.
No, in fact, I think he.
That's good for you because you've got a gig for one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think it's
good to have a gig.
That way, it makes us tough to replace.
Yeah,
sure does.
Because
that's true.
We're pretty extreme, like you just said. Right, you're going through the math, and you're like, wait. So you're singing. You have a bass through a DI. You have a keyboard through a DI. You have a drum set without a rack tom with only 2 cymbals, and then you have the smallest guitar amp you could possibly bring.
Acoustic guitar DI.
Yeah. So it's like. Keep it low, man. Keep it chill. Give the sound guy headroom. And we consider our sound guy almost like a band member. Like he comes in and he makes his choices.
Paints with what we do.
Well, in that situation, the sound man really has to come through.
Yes.
Because you depend on it. You're not changing anything up on stage.
Right.
It's all the sound guy.
Yep.
So he or she's very important.
Yes. Nice he or she there. Really solid.
I was just curious though. I just want to ask a bass question. But Nate, so going through the DI, you can get the type of bass sound that you want. I would think that.
So this DI is actually pretty top notch. It's a Rupert Neve DI, and it's it takes phantom power, so you give it 48 volts at the board, and it is there is so much bandwidth and volume that you can drive through this bass, well, and through this thing cleanly. And on top of that, this bass behind me and my other bass, the two basses that I work with, have pretty high outputs. They kind of scream real loud.
What do they have, EMGs in them or what?
Yeah, they're both. One's EMG direct and the other one is an EMG clone. So they both are pretty high output, and I feel that with that, and then my little vibrating monitor that I have strapped to my back, I get like 100% of the bass tone that I want, because
that's the real deal.
What,
the vibrating monitor is what he really wants to talk about.
Well, this thing's
well,
sweet.
it's probably how you wear it. Has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, no, this thing is sweet.
I might prefer the bass tone from the DI. Like, I might even
it's cleaner.
I think it's cleaner.
It's
I think
cleaner.
you get more personality from the bass.
Depends on what you want, I would imagine.
There's so many guys that love amp tone, and I'm not one of those, and I never have.
Really?
A lot of my dudes
they want to rumble. They want a certain amount of
or they want some.
Well, look at Geddy Lee and his sound. You know,
exactly.
It's got distortion on it. Of course, I will have to say his Rickenbacker 4001 on Permanent Waves is one of the greatest bass sounds.
I mean, in general,
ever.
Geddy Lee.
Yeah.
I mean, like, come on, that's some pretty sick.
Or
bass.
Chris Squire.
Yeah, also
Chris Squire. You ever listen to the I know we're getting geeky. I'm sorry. You ever listen to the isolated bass like on YouTube where it's Chris Squire playing?
He definitely has. You know, we heard a lot about Chris Squire because we were on the.
Holy crap! Does that bass sound good?
On the cruise.
He's playing that through. I think he's playing that through a Fender guitar amp. I think.
Oh, that's what everybody did back in the day, right?
Yeah, like a flip top.
That's probably the key. Play bass through a guitar
amp. Well, yeah.
Well, you can. Why can't you?
That's what Vox gave the Beatles. They gave them. There wasn't bass amps, so like when they supplied.
Well, the Super Beatles have a bass channel. This is back here. Where behind me, that's a Vox Viscount.
Sweet.
It's under that cover. It's a 1966. Now, if you know what a Vox Viscount is, that's the same guts as a Super Beetle, only it's in a 212 cabinet.
And that's what the Super Beetle is what Vox like custom made for the Beatles before.
Well, that's what they used over in the United States. You know, Vox Thomas Organ gave them Super Beetles over here, but they were using AC 100s over in Europe.
Right, which is just a guitar amp, and Paul was a bass through that for like the whole first half of their career, basically.
I think that was a T6. Was that a T60? He had a designated bass head. It was just a transistor bass head they gave him.
It's
I
cool.
could talk all that Beatles shit.
Love it.
It was all being invented at the time, literally.
It was. Yeah, they didn't have any monitors. You guys were lucky; they couldn't ever hear themselves.
Can you imagine like that footage at Shea Stadium when they're playing there? It sounds terrible, and you know it's the Beatles.
It sounds like a terrible experience for the band.
But like they're there at a stadium, all the sounds escaping everywhere, and there's no monitors.
That they can't.
You guys ever watch Monterey Pop, the film?
Yeah, I've seen something. Yeah.
You've got David Crosby on stage, kind of testing out the stage, going, man, we've got proper monitors or proper equipment finally. We can actually hear ourselves. We're talking 1967 when they were able to hear themselves. It's amazing how that technology's come.
That's wild. Right? Yeah.
You know, kind of goes in with that whole Big Brother and holding company. See, I'm going back.
But our life has changed with in-ears. You know, we're in this sort of protected ears in your head sort of world, especially because we play clubs a lot rather than outdoors, and it's a game changer, man.
Total game changer.
And you can make strong choices in your ears, which is nice.
Yeah.
God, you guys are an inspiration for crying out loud. I don't even play out. I used to play out, but I haven't played out since 1989.
Oh my goodness!
Wow. But I just like all this shit. I just like it.
You know a lot about all these instruments. What are you, though? A guitar player or a bass player?
Well, I can play guitar. I'm more of a bass player.
During the pandemic, we wanted to like do a tribute concert, and we did the whole Abbey Road album. It was a lot of fun learning.
No, that would be incredible.
Yeah, it's on YouTube as well.
Find it on
Very
YouTube.
ambitious of us.
It was really fun.
But that Rickenbacker amp, when I first started playing guitar, we're almost done. First started playing guitar, my very first guitar, my dad took me to the music store. Okay, I have to tell you this story. When I was a Beatle crazed kid. When I was a kid, the first thing I ever heard was "I Want to Hold Your Hand and She Loves You" off Neighbors 45s.
Right.
I had no experience prior to that to any type of pop music. My folks would watch the Lawrence Welk show.
Sure.
They would listen to, well, my dad would listen to Neil Diamond.
Sure.
So I guess I've heard stuff, but it never really hit me.
Right.
But when I heard that 45 to I Want to Hold Your Hand,
Oh yeah.
I said, can I borrow this 45 and take it home?
Right.
And oh my God, I kept playing it over and over, but I became Beatle crazy. And I drove by a guitar store up in Marion, Ohio called Eagle Guitar and Sound when I was a kid. And I drove by and I'll be damned if there wasn't a Rickenbacker bass sitting in the window.
Wow.
And I told my dad, whoa, we have to stop. So that's where it all started.
That's
Awesome.
So
amazing.
cute. I love that.
Amazing.
But man, when you're really young, everything's so new and fresh and you can't get enough of it.
Yep.
You don't get that so much as you get older, but man,
No, you
when you're
gotta
young,
cherish it.
everything's so shiny and new and you just take everything in, all your influences. I mean, you're practically trying to, when you get that music bug, you start listening to anything you can get your hands on when you're a kid. When you're like 13, 14, man, there was nothing like it. You know?
I remember when the first time I heard Stairway to Heaven and it just blew my mind. I was just like, you could do like a fast song.
Yeah, it's like you heard something, you had an outer body experience.
Yeah.
And now, as an adult, it's less frequent, but we cherish it when it comes around.
Well,
you know?
I just had one of these moments with this.
Oh, that's
Aw.
amazing.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
That's
Well, I don't hear anything very often that makes me really go, step back and take notice. But I will have to give you something. We're doing a show on my channel with Noel Gallagher's Flying Birds. So we're looking like at the first Noel Gallagher album, the first three.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Have you guys ever heard these?
Mm-mm.
Can't say.
Noel Gallagher, like Oasis guy.
Oh my God. Brilliant. I was never that big of an Oasis guy because the production
Yeah.
it was always so compressed and everything's
There's
so
a lot of Wallace.
thick.
And I feel like we were
There's a lot of Phil Spector.
Live.
And I was never big. I appreciate Phil Spector. This stuff's a lot more open,
cool.
but if you like 60s, 70s soul, I know this has nothing to do with anything, but this is another thing that just totally opened my door. And I've only started to listen to it because we're going to do a show.
Cool.
That's
Holy
awesome.
crap. That's what's great about doing these kind of shows.
Great to hear
Because
music.
you can, get turned on to new stuff. And like someone says, hey, Grant, let's talk about this. Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll have to do, some research.
In the UK, we played this game. I think we'll do it again. Where on the way to each gig, we were playing music from that place. Like on the way to Birmingham,
Birmingham. Played Sabbath.
You got to listen to Black Sabbath. On the way to Scotland, you got to listen to Delamitri.
Yeah, it kind of sets it up. It sets it up.
So is Noel Gallagher from Manchester?
They're from Manchester. I
So on
believe.
the way to our Manchester gig, we'll have to listen to some Noel Gallagher.
Definitely.
I would listen to that, and I'm just telling you,
That's awesome.
I couldn't believe it. All three of them are great. Absolutely.
Beatles fan too.
He's a huge Beatles fan.
Huge.
Yeah.
Beatles.
Oh, you can tell, definitely. Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
God. Great stuff. And your album's great too. And like I said, I'll put a link to the bottom.
Hey, subscribe.
And if there's anything you want me to
I like
put on, just send me an email.
We got all of
Anything else you want me to
We
put
did
on
it.
there?
You promoted. So
I'll
very
promote
well.
it. I'm going to really try to promote it
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
because I believe in you guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
man.
man.
So if you ever come back around, I'll make
We
sure
will.
I
We're in
go.
Ohio frequently, so
Yeah.
look out because we'll be back.
It's true.
Cool. So do you guys have anything else to promote before we wrap this dog up? I think we've had a good discussion.
I think we had a great discussion. If you want to,
Shit, we've talked about guitars. We've talked about the mamas and the papas. What else? Holy crap.
Vinyl records.
Al,
we talked to Eric and the Dominoes and Noel
Sure.
Gallagher. I think if you haven't bought it yet, you should go out and buy yourself a copy of Outside Spectrum. We're trying to get back on that
Yep.
blues chart.
Yep.
You know what? I would let people know that, streaming music is great. Please stream music.
It's not really worth any money.
Wow,
But,
I'd still rather people come and get your physical product.
Me too.
For small
Us
bands,
too.
this is
Thank
how to
you.
make an impact. So that would be
The
awesome.
streaming's all fine and dandy, but come on.
Buy a physical copy. We'll sign it for you and send it to you, or you buy one
Mm-hmm.
on the show. That's how to support a band these days.
So anybody watching this, please check this out. If you check it out, you stream it, please go to their website, buy it? Is it like a can you? Where else can you buy the CD at? Because I'm always just on your website.
Yeah, we're greedy like that.
Okay, no, that's fine. So everybody, check the link down below. Go to the site, please, please don't. Please get this. I'm just telling you, great record. And I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't taken by it, like a little schoolgirl.
Have you auditioned for Mensa?
He is a genius.
No,
obviously,
he's got impeccable taste.
I do have good taste.
Maker.
I do have great taste.
I like the idea that you auditioned for Mensa.
yeah, you auditioned. I'm here for my Mensa audition.
All right, do you have two? I need 2 solo pieces, and then you're going to do a group piece.
Dude, really appreciate it, man. It's been really fun talking to you.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for coming on. Thank you, Josh, Nate, Adam, Erica. God darn, you guys are good. So anyway, follow the links below. Thanks for coming on. If there's something you ever need to talk about, yes, go to the links, subscribe. Yes.
Smash that like,
if there's anything you guys ever want to talk about, you got my email.
Thanks, man.
Something big's coming up, or something, your new record, or something you're getting excited about.
You're our guy.
I'm your guy. At least hopefully I have a lot more subscribers by then. So, all right, guys, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, man.
Take care.
Have a great night.
All right.